I always thought the sound of keys in a lock meant comfort, safety, familiarity. But that evening, when I came home early with takeout bags digging into my fingers, the world shifted in a way I'll never forget. The apartment door, our door, was cracked open just enough to whisper that something was wrong. At first, I froze, thinking maybe someone broke in, but then I heard it. Her voice, laughing, light, careless, almost bubbly in a way she hadn't sounded with me in months. I stepped inside quietly, the hallway dim and narrow, like it was trying to trap the moment in place. Yeah, he has no idea. Her words sliced clean through me. A man laughed with her, low, confident, comfortable enough in our home to clink a glass against hers. My heart pounded so loud I thought they'd hear it. I stood there gripping the takeout bag so tightly the plastic stretched and groaned. She kept talking, each sentence worse than the last. He works too much. I could tell him anything and he'd believe it. He trusts me way too much. They laughed together. Laughed about me like I was some clueless joke, some blind, pathetic background character in my own life. I felt something inside me break, not dramatically, not loudly. It was a quiet snap, final, cold, irreversible. I wanted to storm in. I wanted to scream, but instead, I backed away. Step by step, slow, silent, mechanical, the same way you leave a graveyard. I pulled the door shut without a sound, walked down the stairs on shaking legs, and by the time I reached my car, the world looked different, smaller, darker, contaminated. I didn't go home that night. I didn't even know what home was anymore. I crashed at a friend's place, someone she didn't know, and laid awake in the dark, listening to the echo of her laughter replay in my skull, until it didn't sound human anymore. By morning, she didn't have access to a single part of my life. Blocked, vanished, erased, without explanation, just like she erased me. And that was only the beginning. The first few days after that night were chaos wrapped in silence. I didn't answer her calls. I didn't reply to her messages. I didn't respond to mutual friends who awkwardly asked if everything was okay. I let it all hang in the air, heavy and suffocating, just like the betrayal I felt pressing down on me. Her texts came in waves. Please, excuses, confessions, lies, desperation. Please, let's talk. It's not what you think. I love you. I read each one and felt a strange, icy calm settle over me. I wasn't angry yet. Not really. I was just done. Betrayal had a rhythm, and I had learned to let it echo until the people who caused it realized the cost. Then came the revelation that truly poisoned the wound. One day at work, her name popped up in a casual conversation, and that's when I learned the truth I hadn't expected. The man she had been laughing with wasn't some random fling. He was a coworker, someone I passed in the hallways, someone I had spoken to over coffee, shared office jokes with, and never suspected for a second. And the cruelty? He had a girlfriend too, a woman working in the same office building, completely unsuspecting. The web of deceit wasn't just tangled, it was toxic. Layers of betrayal overlapped, like a carefully constructed lie designed to humiliate. I considered confronting him, right there in the office. But I didn't. Not yet. Some battles aren't worth the noise. Some victories are cleaner when silent, methodical, precise. I let him exist in that office, in that comfortable ignorance, while I plotted the next steps. A few days later she found me. Kay, my ex, my betrayer, my former home, showed up at my friend's door. Her face was unrecognizable. Mascara streaked across red cheeks, eyes swollen, hands trembling. She collapsed into apologies, words spilling faster than air escaping a punctured tire. I didn't mean, please, just listen. I cut her off, calmly, coldly. I heard everything. I said. Her face went pale. The laughter, the words, the games, it all evaporated under the weight of my voice. She had no tricks left, no excuses, no lies that could survive my calm. I stood, opened the door and walked out. She rushed toward me, but my friend stopped her. She fell into the hallway, sobbing, begging, and I didn't look back. Relief washed over me, not because I had won, but because the nightmare of trust had ended. But there was still unfinished business. The coworker, the man who thought he could hide behind charm and deceit. He was next. I didn't let emotion dictate my next move. Anger was a fire, and fire burns uncontrolled. It destroys more than it heals. I needed precision. I needed results. So I waited. I watched. I gathered facts, dates, times, messages, connections, everything. I became quiet, invisible, calculating. Every casual glance, every passing conversation at work, every laugh he shared, I memorized it. Nothing would escape me. Finally, I went to HR, not shouting, not storming in, calm, methodical. Facts laid out like pieces on a chessboard, texts, screenshots, timelines. I didn't embellish. I didn't dramatize. I simply showed them who they had working there, and the fallout was beautiful in its inevitability. His girlfriend discovered the betrayal within days. The confrontation was public, messy, and utterly humiliating. The office buzzed with whispers before HR even finished handling the case. By the end of the week, he was gone, fired, his career tainted, his reputation shattered. I didn't celebrate. There was no gloating in my victory, just a cold, quiet satisfaction that justice had its course. He had underestimated the power of someone who had been wronged and refused to remain a victim. Weeks passed, and something I hadn't expected began to happen. Healing, real healing. The fog in my chest started to lift. I wasn't constantly haunted by that laughter anymore. I realized the months of ignoring tiny red flags, the late nights, the distant behavior, the flimsy excuses. I hadn't been blind. I had just been loving the wrong person. I was stronger now. Cautious, yes. Guarded, maybe. But I knew my worth. I would not be humiliated. Again. And I would never let anyone make me question my value. And slowly, almost imperceptibly, the pain transformed into something else. Power, control, clarity. I didn't need her laughter haunting me anymore because I had reclaimed the narrative. I wasn't just a victim. I was the architect of my own closure. The apartment that once held betrayal, the co-worker who thought he was untouchable. Even her desperate pleas, they were all echoes now. Faint, distant, powerless. But even with all this, a part of me knew the story wasn't fully over. Some pieces of vengeance take longer to settle, and some lessons never fade. By now, the apartment that had been my sanctuary felt like a relic of a different life, a life I didn't belong to anymore. Every memory of her laughter, every casual touch that once felt warm, had been replaced by clarity. I didn't need revenge against her anymore. She had lost me without a fight. But the co-worker, the man who thought he could betray everyone around him and escape unscathed, he had learned the hard way that some consequences are unavoidable. Work returned to normal, but not the normal of before. I walked the halls with calm confidence, a quiet edge that no one dared test. Whispers about what had happened swirled, but I ignored them. The satisfaction wasn't in watching him burn. It was in knowing I hadn't allowed myself to be broken in the process. I didn't scream. I didn't humiliate him. I simply let the truth do its work, and it did. The days grew quieter, and I found myself thinking less about her, less about what I had lost, and more about what I had regained. My dignity, my self-respect, my control over my own life. I wasn't bitter. I wasn't vengeful. I was stronger, sharper, wiser. I started to reclaim the things that had fallen to the wayside during those 3 years: friends, passions, time for myself. The apartment I once fled felt bigger now, emptier in a good way. Space for growth, space for peace, space for me. And somewhere in that silence, I realized I had learned the most important lesson of all. Trust is earned, respect is demanded, and no one, not her, not him, would ever have the power to make me doubt my worth again. The past didn't haunt me anymore. It became my armor. Every betrayal, every lie, every cruel joke she thought she could get away with, it all transformed into strength. A reminder that darkness can forge light, that pain can breed resilience, and that in the aftermath of betrayal, the most devastating revenge is living well, unbroken and unshakable. I closed that chapter fully, not with fire or fury, but with a quiet, unstoppable certainty. I survived, I reclaimed my life, and I would never let anyone make me small again. The story ends not with screams or chaos, but with clarity. Betrayal had knocked me down, stripped me of trust, and forced me to see the cracks I'd ignored for far too long. But in the silence after the storm, I found something stronger than anger, strength, dignity, and the knowledge that I would never let anyone make me feel small again. Revenge doesn't always come from confrontation. Sometimes it comes quietly, meticulously, and with purpose. Sometimes the ultimate victory is simply reclaiming your life, walking away from those who hurt you, and proving to yourself that you are untouchable. Now I want to ask you, what would you do if someone you trusted laughed at your pain behind your back? If this story resonated with you, leave your TS in the comments below. Share your experiences, your take on betrayal, or even your own stories of reclaiming power. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to Echoes of Revenge, and turn on notifications so you never miss a story that dives into the darkness and shows how the betrayed can rise stronger.